All right, welcome back to another episode of Friends from Work, a podcast about all things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, hosted by myself, Kyle Sconowell, and my longtime friend from work, Robbie Earl. Although Robbie is absent today, and we have the absolute pleasure of being co-hosted by Greg Arnold. That's right, the legend himself. Greg, welcome to Friends from Work.
Thank you, Kyle. It's a pleasure to be here.
How is your summer going, man? And now early fall, I guess, although not technically yet.
I don't know. It's right around this date, right?
Yeah.
In Maryland, it's starting to get a little chillier. Weather's starting to turn a little bit. Leaves are starting to turn. Everybody's kind of getting into fall mode.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I got two things over here I want to share. One, I'm bald now. I just went for it. I feel so weird. Like my head feels so naked. And I just realized I'm trying to hold on to hair that just isn't there anymore. Like when I would take a head off, I'm like, yeah, I'm not fooling anyone anymore. So I'm officially bald, Greg.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm wearing the hat. My wife told me just the other day, she was like, I think your hair is starting to thin on the top. And you might want to think about taking care of that. And I thought, I'm just going to take that out of the equation for tonight.
That was me for a long time until I finally gave in. Second thing, I did my first ever helicopter ride. For a fun fact, I rode in a helicopter for the first. Have you ever ridden in a helicopter?
I have never been in a helicopter. My wife is terrified of them.
Okay. Because of some traumatic experience or just what she reads?
Just reading, watching movies. You know, that's always like the big scene when the blades come at you. And that is just something she has no interest in.
I'm not going to lie. I had a little bit of those feelings when we first started. It's a weird feeling to just like slowly lift straight vertically. I was in one, I guess the pilot was talking all about these different ways. Some take off straight vertically, but we did kind of a runway takeoff, like followed the runway and then did that typical lean forward thing and really get going. It was really cool. It almost felt like a roller coaster, a mini roller coaster that like almost dipped down and then kind of up. It was a wild experience, but it's really pretty to see things from 30,000 feet in a plane, obviously. And it's cool to look at things from the ground. I've never really like done the tour from 1,000 feet like that or 800 feet. Like we flew over a couple of golf courses where you're low enough to wave at people.
Wow.
And basically you're a drone and it's kind of a unique angle, like you get drone footage essentially, which is kind of cool. So, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind.
So as Robbie is preparing for a child, Greg and I wanted to jump on here and do a special little episode. Now, Greg, you've been doing our newsletter for quite some time. And one of the things that you do in that newsletter is a water cooler section where you take us through some of the news of some of the scuttlebutt around the MCU and adjacent properties. Mm-hmm. And I thought, because it's been kind of weird, like for the most part, like relatively speaking, this has been a slow news era relative to what we were doing in 2021, 22, 23. Marvel has slowed down. And I think, you're turning the page a little bit towards the fall and football, and they'll get ramped back up here in a minute. But because of that, Robbie and I haven't recorded a ton of episodes, and you and I haven't checked in on a lot of the rumors and news that are coming out now over that 5 or 6 week gap. So that's a long-winded way to say, I would love you to tell me some of the news. We haven't prepped this ahead of time, and I can give you my live reaction to some of the stuff that's happening in the Marvel world.
I think that's great. And what I did, I kind of went back about 2 months, sort of back to Fantastic Four First Steps time.
Perfect.
And just pulled some things I thought hadn't really been discussed on the pod yet by you and Robbie. And I'm going to start maybe with one that was very recent. I just wondering what your reactions are to Avengers Doomsday. They unleashed those chairs 5 months ago, and just in the last couple of weeks, they wrapped filming on the movie. Of course, that's just principal photography. There will probably be plenty of reshoots and callbacks and other things they have to do. But we're pretty far out from that movie. And how are you feeling?
I feel pretty great. My understanding with that process, and some of our listeners can help us, I think that's a thing where they've basically got enough to put a first cut together, is my understanding. And then in the early winter, they'll look at it, and while they're doing VFX, decide where they need to go back and do stuff or add stuff. That's the process?
I think that's about right. And because the Russos have done this before, and it's kind of a unique situation even for them, because they're also going to have Secret Wars to film. And it's not back to back quite like Infinity War and Endgame were. But my suspicion is that maybe there's certain things that they're going to wait to kind of pick up when everybody reconvenes next year, I think in the spring for Secret Wars.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I over on Friends from Work Plus, Robbie and I are prepping right now as we speak, actually, to do a couple of episodes. One being, what do we hope to see from Spider-Man Brand New Day? And then the other being, what do we hope to see from Doomsday? So we're going to get heavy into that on Friends from Work Plus. But I think it's been really nice that there hasn't been any set leaks. That's my understanding, is that like there haven't been pictures really leaking. Is that true?
I would say that's true. There have been a few sort of like set photos and stuff, but as far as actors and maybe some surprises and stuff, they've done a really good job of kind of keeping that stuff under wraps.
And even with the announcement with the chairs and stuff, I'm still anticipating a whole nother batch. And whether they save that, like those announcements for the actual film, or if they're going to do another chair thing or whatever, I'm still anticipating there being names like Elizabeth Olsen that were not on the chairs that will be in the movie. And I think I said this in the Zombies episode. I think Jonathan Majors is going to be in the film. So I think there's some hot takes that I threw out there. But yeah, no, I'm getting really excited for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's going to be some actors that maybe have small parts in Doomsday, but bigger parts in Secret Wars, that they can kind of just wait until they're bringing them in for Secret Wars and kind of film their scenes for Doomsday at the same time and kind of just insert them where they need to be when that comes up.
The biggest question Robbie and I have been debating is, I just can't put my finger on what I think the movie is going to, like how I think the movie is going to end. Meaning, is it a true part 1 and part 2 with Secret Wars? Are all the incursions going to happen at the end of Doomsday, and then it's a whole different thing that picks up in Secret Wars? Is it just a part 2 where the story is cut off in the like, I have no idea. So when you say that different people will have larger roles, my mind starts thinking, why? Like where in there, did somebody lose? Did one of the timelines, get wiped out and therefore they're not in it, or whatever,
It's a unique situation because they did this once with Infinity War and Endgame, and the temptation, because that went so well, is kind of just repeat the same things. But I know that's not what they're going to do. So you can't necessarily just say, well, Doctor Doom's going to win at the end of the first movie, and then the Avengers will come back and win at the end of the second movie. And furthermore, I think Kevin Feige might have said around Fantastic Four time that whereas Endgame was kind of an ending, he sees Secret Wars as more of a beginning. So what does that mean? How does that look? There's so much there is a lot of speculation out there, and rumors and characters. And I mean, I think pretty much every character that's ever appeared in any movie for any Marvel property has been rumored at one point to be involved here.
Yeah.
And the Russos have said that this is going to be bigger than Infinity War and Endgame, which is kind of impossible to wrap your mind around.
Well, and just because there are so many people, I'm guessing a lot of those will be cameos or, 2 lines or something.
Right.
Like some kind of, almost like Spider-Verse thing where like they're in a multiverse. It's like, here's this for some of the characters. Obviously others will factor in more heavily, but just because there's too many, I don't think, unless it's like a giant council meeting,
right,
where like literally 100 people are in this council meeting talking about it. But
that was the genius thing about Endgame, was they used Infinity War to kind of zero in on that original 6 Avengers and sort of cut the cast for most of Endgame. And whether they can, through incursions or whatever else might happen in these movies, maybe they'll be able to streamline where the focus is similarly.
Right. All right. News item number 2.
Well, you mentioned Spider-Man: Brand New Day and
Mm-hmm.
prepping stuff on that. So I wanted to move on to that movie. Uh, you may or may not have heard Tom Holland recently suffered a concussion
I did hear that.
filming on set, doing stunts, and yeah, I think everybody's pretty happy that they've been doing a lot of practical stunts and everything. It sounds like he's okay. He's only going to miss maybe a week of filming and stuff, but it's kind of a big news item, and I thought we could use that to kind of get into some of the casting news because I think there's been some recent castings for that movie that maybe haven't been touched
Okay,
on
hit
the
me.
pod.
Hit me.
The cast is getting pretty big. Obviously, Holland, Bernthal, Ruffalo, those have all been kind of confirmed by the trades, although
Mm-hmm.
Mark Ruffalo is still, I think he's kind of gun shy about ever saying or confirming anything at this point. He's been interviewed a few times and kind of been pretty coy about it. But it seems like those three are definitely in the movie. Sadie Sink from
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Things, we know about her.
But we don't even know who she's playing.
We
right?
don't.
There's been all kinds of rumors if it's like a different MJ or now if it's like I've heard
Everything from
Jean
MJ.
Grey,
Yeah.
Jean Grey,
Jean Grey to MJ to Gwen Stacy to anything in between rumors. And obviously, because they haven't said, they must want to keep that kind of on the hush hush for right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think you guys talked about Tremel Tillman joining the cast.
Let's go, Severance, my
Absolutely.
guy. And Mission Impossible, your guy.
Yes,
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible too. I thought he's great in both roles. He's been great in everything, and I think having him in the
you
cast,
must be out of your mind.
and his role's also up in the air. We don't know who he's playing, what character that might be. There's been rumors for whether he's going to play a villain, whether he's going to be a hero, or just some character in between.
And do they introduce Norman Osborn? That's my other lingering question.
Right. Norman Osborn. There's even been some rumors as far as sort of the Morales family. And do they start to tease that out? From what
like Miles's father, maybe, or something?
Right. So what I've heard is that Sony really kind of wants the MCU to stay away from Miles until after Beyond the Spider-Verse. But could they maybe tease Miles by introducing his father or his mother or stuff like that? Because they've also cast Liza Colon-Zayas, who I don't think you watched The Bear.
No, I don't know who that is.
She's from The Bear. Yeah, you can look her up. And there have been rumors sort of that she could be maybe Miles's mother. She would fit that sort of demographic and be a good choice there. She's great on The Bear, and I do recommend that show. Of course, Ebon Moss-Bachrach is maybe the best part of that show, and I highly recommend that. Yeah.
I can't even get a picture because I can't spell her name right. There we go. Okay. Oh, I've seen her face before.
Yes.
In something.
Yeah, she's been Emmy nominated for The Bear. I don't know if she's won. But
it says Spider-Man Brand New Day right here.
Yep. She's another one that the trades have confirmed. And, just a few days ago,
Oh, man, that looks like Rio Morales to me.
Right? It seems like if you were going to translate that character from the comic page or from the Spider-Verse movies into live action, she kind of fits perfectly.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that famously, and I think they was just a throwaway line or whatever, but they famously had that line in Homecoming of I have a nephew in this area or whatever from the Prowler, and then Spider-Verse showed him and kind of confirmed that he is a Prowler variant of some sort, and so put two and two together. Sure, it feels like they set up a hint there with Miles.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe that I saw that same article where like Kevin Feige, I think it was told like we were told absolutely stay away from it.
Yeah, they want to
touch it.
And of course, that's the same year as Secret Wars is Beyond the Spider-Verse. Both those are the same year. So
at the same time, it's starting to feel like those lines are starting to blur a little bit. Like I saw a rumor or an article or something that Kingpin might eventually be in it or he wants to be in it or something. And then I saw that story about zombies actually where by taking Spider-Man and taking the show and splitting into 4 episodes of a mini series of sorts, then they could get away with it and it's not a movie using Spider-Man. But anyways, I feel like it's getting closer and closer to eventually having Daredevil, Kingpin, Spider-Man all in the same universe. And then I think it's getting closer and closer to Miles as well. But it does feel like, Robbie's whole thing is he feels like Miles is coming post Tom Holland. Like, he doesn't want them at the same time kind of thing. So he feels like they're still going to take another, 6 years to do 2 more movies after Brand New Day and then pass the torch to a different Spider-Man.
Well, you mentioned blurring the lines. They just in the last week or so cast Marvin Jones III in Spider-Man Brand New Day. He's another one you might want to look up. It may not ring a bell off the top of your head. He's going
to... yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah,
Tombstone.
He's playing Tombstone, and he voices Tombstone in the Spider-Verse movies.
Oh, does he really?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Wow. So he actually got that role probably because of that.
I think so. And
he also looks like he could be Tombstone.
He does. He definitely does. So that cast is really kind of filled out. And even though we don't know a couple of the characters yet, it's starting to get kind of busy.
Yeah, crazy. If you're going to have Tombstone, the Hulk, the Punisher, some of the rumored villains, I'm assuming 1 or 2 of them, and then if Sadie Sink, let's just say she's Gwen Stacy or something, you're getting it's a lot of characters. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
But a little news from me for a second. It's what I think makes the Spider-Man video game so good. There are so many characters. Now, that's a little bit different because you have so much time with them, but it is fun to have all these different characters and then have them come together at the end. So I think it's possible to pull it off. And then secondly, kind of on that, did you see there was a Wolverine trailer for a new video game? Did you see it?
I did see that.
That's my one piece of news.
Yep.
Oh, the Wolverine video game made by Insomniac, the same people who make Spider-Man, coming out soon. So let's go.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy trailer. It was one of those ones where you never really believed it was actually going to happen until the trailer came out.
Yeah.
And I've even heard it might be set in the same universe as the Spider-Man games. So
at this point, they would be dumb not to, don't you think? Because Miles is in the same universe, so just keep building onto it.
Absolutely.
And then for those of you who don't play the game, there are no Avengers in the game, but there's an Avengers tower, and when Peter swings by it a couple times, like the first time you get a photo of it, he makes a couple of comments. He's like, oh, I wonder if they're out on the West Coast right now. So like, they're teasing that other things could be there, so we'll see.
That would be exciting.
Panel Bound Comics is the official sponsor of this podcast by providing you and us with the best comics in the business. If you go to panelboundcomics.com, you're going to find a ton of comics at incredible prices, better prices than you're going to get on Amazon, and they ship them to you in a timely manner in a neat package. Panelboundcomics.com. Use our promo code Friends from Work to save even more money on what is already discounted comics. Panelboundcomics.com. Promo code Friends from Work. The NFL season is already upon us, and baseball playoffs are starting to heat up. For me as a Mariners fan, let's go. Mariners taking the division. And right now, if you go to homage.com and you use the link in our show notes below, you can check out some of the best nerd merchandise and sports merchandise in the biz. That's right. Get throwback gear of your favorite MLB or NFL teams, but also all the nerd merchandise you want. They have licenses with Marvel, so you can get Secret Wars shirts, Doomsday shirt, Fantastic Four stuff, anything you want at homage.com. And again, use the link in our show notes to let them know that we sent you, homage.com.
So I have one more bit of movie news, and that is, I don't know if you saw, a couple weeks ago, it's probably been about a month now, Jake Schreier was talking to
my man,
Empire Magazine, director of Thunderbolts, and confirmed to be directing X-Men for the MCU. Confirmed that it is in pre-production. He's already started. I got a quote here from Jake. He said that I can't say much about it, but we started work on X-Men. That's obviously very, very exciting. There are many things that I didn't know before I started Thunderbolts, the biggest learning curve for me was the proportion of the action to sort of the more emotional character driven scenes, and how even though it's more shooting days than I've ever had before in a movie, they get eaten up quite quickly by the action stuff. So by the time we got to the end of it, it felt like, oh, now I feel like we get how to do this just a little bit better. So it sounds like he's ready to get moving on X-Men, and we don't really know when that's coming, but it's kind of the only movie that we know of right now beyond the ones we just talked about and Secret Wars that's even in pre-production at this point.
There are all these untitled films, right? There are dates blocked off.
Yes.
For films. But yeah, you're right. That's the only one that has officially been confirmed. I love it though, Greg. I love that they're not telling us because, I mean, it could be Black Panther 3. I know that Coogler has talked about that he's, I don't know, he said like it's happening or we're working or something is what he wrote.
Right.
There could be a Thor movie. There could be a third Doctor Strange film. Fantastic Four sequel. But I kind of love that I don't know. I'm okay with not knowing. But we do know the X-Men film is coming, and and listeners of the podcast know how much of a fan I was of Thunderbolts. That's probably my favorite director choice they've made in a while for him to do that film. And him saying that, if Thunderbolts was still him learning, I love the idea that he can take whatever that was, which was basically perfect to me, and figure out even a more effective way of doing it. I'm all in.
I couldn't agree more. I think really both movies this summer were great, and I want to give Jake Schreier and Matt Shakman anything they want to do in the MCU moving forward. Let's do it.
Agreed. Shakman, go ahead and do a sequel to Fantastic Four. But also, because we don't even know where Secret Wars is going to leave it, I just don't even, we don't know how they can, I kind of like that they can't announce anything yet. For example, do we even know the Fantastic Four universe will exist after this? We don't know that. Do we know that the universe that we follow, the Sacred Timeline, will exist in the same way? No, we don't. Is it a merged thing? And then therefore the Fantastic Four are kind of out of the retro 60s thing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. So
yeah, we don't really know. And I would put my money probably on the merged universe. I think they want to get back to everybody being in one place. And maybe the easiest way to do that is through these massive Avengers movies ending with just picking and choosing. And that's kind of what the comics did, where they took the best parts out of everything. Miles came from his universe and ended up in the main timeline. They could do that with the Fantastic Four here. It just probably makes sense to do that. I do think, even though we've kind of seen DC get into their own version of multiversal storytelling here recently, that everybody's kind of getting wary of too much multiverse and want to I think Feige realizes that it's time to sort of pare things down and simplify things for audiences and everybody involved.
Agreed. So we know there's one movie after Secret. Oh, hold on.
I have the schedule here.
Is there something in between the two?
So there is one date left that has not been removed from the schedule in July of 2027 that would be between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, I've heard that might also get pulled off the schedule at some point. I've heard that maybe they finally get Blade off the ground. Obviously, July 27 is still far enough away that a movie could be announced in any time really in the next year and have time to kind of go through the process and be ready by then. But
I'm even thinking I wonder if they could throw the Fantastic Four sequel there just so that you get one more film in that universe before it goes away. If it's going to ultimately end with a merged world, they're pulled out of theirs. I wonder if they want to get one more, a little more time there or not.
That's an interesting question. The only tricky part there is the post-credit scene, right, from Fantastic Four. Kind of already sort of implies, one, that you get the time jump, and then that maybe that's already starting to get into Doomsday, and it may be strange to go back to there. Although that's after Doomsday, so maybe you can go back after, and there's still something going on there, or maybe
maybe they're just exploring.
Yeah, so that could be. Although, it's tough to say. There's so many options, and I've heard that everything they're focused on right now is Doomsday and Secret Wars. And in fact, I listened to an interview today with Brian Andrews, who is the
Mm-hmm.
director of the Zombies. Marvel Zombies did What If, done a lot of things for Marvel, going way, way back. And he was asked what he's doing now and if he's doing anything for Marvel. And he said he's helping on Doomsday with some of the action scenes, which dates back to when he first started with Marvel, he was doing like storyboards and stuff like that. So they're clearly pulling from everywhere to kind of make sure that these movies are as big as they need to be and as good as they need to be.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that too.
New York Comic-Con.
Okay.
2 weeks away.
I actually don't know anything about this. Okay.
So in 2 weeks, October 10th through the 12th is New York Comic-Con. Robbie, I think, went last year.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's not going this year. I'm unfortunately going to be out of town, so I'm not going either. We do have a couple listeners I know that are going to be in attendance.
Good.
But unlike San Diego this year, where Marvel was really not there except on the comic side, there is a panel discussion on Saturday the 11th, a 1-hour discussion, the latest on Marvel television and animation. And from what I hear, it sounds like Brad Winderbaum's going to be there. And so we might get some announcements. Last year, they revealed a Daredevil Born Again trailer there. Now, they didn't make it public, but my prediction is that they're going to announce they're going to preview the Wonder Man trailer there, and that they will release it publicly because that's coming up pretty soon. December's not that far away, and we're kind of getting into that neighborhood where everybody's going to be looking for a trailer. That's the next thing up, and I think we're going to see that in a couple weeks.
It's also possible they do season 2, right? A look at season 2, something, because I think they're finished filming, aren't they?
They are finished filming. You got the Punisher special. You've got Daredevil Born Again season 2. Both those things are filmed, and Vision Quest or Vision series, whether it's called Vision Quest or not, is still kind of up in the air. I think they could preview all those things. All those things are done filming. All 4 of those projects are completely done filming. They're in post-production now. But I definitely think you're right that you're going to see Daredevil there. There's a lot of cast members from Daredevil that are definitely going to be in attendance there. I'm not sure if that one will get released publicly, but I do think the Wonder Man trailer we're probably going to get publicly there.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Wonder Man's getting so close that even if Comic-Con wasn't around the corner, I would think they'd have to have something pretty soon.
Yeah.
I know nothing. Literally, I couldn't know less about Wonder Man. I think it sounds like the one thing I saw looked fun, but I don't know the character. I don't know if he has powers. I don't get it at all. So we'll see.
Well, I'm going to give you a casting for that show, which goes back to July, but I don't think it came up, and you may not have caught this, but Arian Moayed is joining the cast of that, and you might be thinking, who's that? Well, he was in Succession. But
I know it. Yeah. Damage Control guy.
Damage Control. He's made 2 appearances already in the MCU. No Way Home, and then in Ms. Marvel.
Miss Marvel, yeah.
That's right. So he's back in this cast, and that means Damage Control is back. And I think that's kind of an exciting through line to follow, because I've also heard that Damage Control has been on the set of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and the Damage Control is going to have a presence in Vision Quest. So that's kind of a lot of projects in a row. Now, I don't know about Agent Cleary, that's the character that Moyed plays, whether he's going to be in all those, appear in all those or not. But I like that they're kind of keeping some continuity there and kind of bringing that forward through these sort of ground level projects, while the movies are dealing with sort of the big, the Avengers movies are dealing with sort of the big multiversal things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that too.
So yeah, that's I'm kind of like you. I don't know a whole lot about the Wonder Man project, other than there's some other characters like Ed Harris is in that.
Wow.
Nobody talks about that. Ed Harris is playing Simon Williams, Yahya Abdul-Mateen. That's his agent. His Hollywood agent is going to be Ed Harris in that movie.
Ed Harris is in that show?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I feel like that has kind of flown under the radar, but that is 100% confirmed that he's going to be in that show. And I love
Wow.
Ed Harris. He's a great actor. Apollo 13.
Yeah, I was gonna say that takes me back right away.
Westworld, he's great in Westworld. There's a lot of he's got a long history, and he's just one of those actors that you maybe never thought was going to be in the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah. Add him with Harrison Ford that I never thought I'd see the day.
Yep, exactly.
And I did. So, okay, great.
So I'm going to circle back to New York Comic-Con for a second because I didn't mention sort of the animation stuff. I think there's a good chance we're going to get a preview of either X-Men 97 Season 2 or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2, or maybe both. And I do expect both those shows to come out next year. So I think 2026 is going to be quietly a big year all around.
So we're looking at Daredevil first in
correct.
March, then maybe a show, an animated show. One of those maybe drops, maybe X-Men 97. Then you got Spider-Man, Brand New Day in the summer.
Don't
then
forget the Punisher special too. That is probably going to come either right before or right after Daredevil. I think you got to get that Punisher special out.
Okay, yeah. Is that
maybe a February before?
Yeah, I'd say like a Valentine's Day thing.
That would be one way to do it.
We've hardly had any January stuff. I know WandaVision started in January, but almost Echo dropped in January.
Echo was in January.
WandaVision was in January. I'm guessing, yeah, it's either a February drop or right after in that like in May window or something before Spider-Man, I'm guessing.
Yes, and then I would think Vision probably comes in the fall. Kind of fills that Agatha time frame, the zombies time frame.
Okay. And then Doomsday. That's a great year, is what it is.
Right.
And if Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man drops, which I loved so much, then that's a huge win for me.
Yeah, and I just looked it up. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man actually did start in January last year.
Did? Okay.
So the first couple episodes were right at the end of January. So maybe that's the first out of the gate, although you might think X-Men 97. Either one, Brad Winderbaum did say while he was doing press for Zombies that those shows are going to be every year, new season.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I did see, and maybe I'm spoiling something, but I did see that Daredevil specifically was renewed for season 3. Vincent D'Onofrio even tweeting about it as well.
That was another thing that Winderbaum confirmed, and that is something that I was going to touch on later, but we might as well touch on it now. You
just wonder. Yeah, I mean, you wonder how long it can go, but by the way, I wonder also, side note, this is a theory, I wonder how long they want to do the Mayor Fisk thing. Because I've been thinking about, again, I've been playing that Spider-Man video game, and in the Spider-Man video game, Norman Osborn is mayor. And not that the main person has to be the mayor, but you wonder if eventually they want him out of that role and back to like straight crime lord. So maybe he willingly lays that down and says like, I've done it, I fixed everything, this is good. And just so they can get him off the board, especially if they do want to set up any kind of Norman Osborn political thing.
Yeah, you could be right. I know for sure, I think at some point they would like to get Kingpin into the Spider-Man movies. That we need to get some sort of interaction between those characters that have such a history in the comics.
Yeah, that's the end game.
But have never interacted in live action for obvious reasons.
Right. Other than the one shout out, no interaction, but
yes.
In Born Again, he says something like, about Spider-Man.
About that.
Anyways, that is a recurring show. I know that they're kind of changing their mind on how they want to do TV. They felt like before they experimented with a bunch of different shows, and they're trying to build a few more series that repeat, like Hawkeye season 2. They're trying to get going, right? That's going to be the new thing instead of tons of new shows.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more shows that never make it sort of off the ground, that get talked about, that maybe get rumored. We've heard about Hawkeye. We've heard about things like maybe Strange Academy or a Nova Corps television show and stuff that...
Armor Wars,
Blonde Phantom, which is a really obscure comic, but maybe the rumored Scarlett Johansson project. So there's so many out there. Something I've heard, and I don't know how much truth there is to it, is that they're going to basically take a look at sort of first passes at several of these shows, maybe in the spring, and then decide on one to maybe greenlight. Because if they're going to go with 2 shows a year, you've got Daredevil and Vision for next year, and then you're going to have Daredevil back again in 27. But they don't really have anything else to pair that we know of beyond that. So, given how
Hawkeye season 2,
that's the one that I would put my money on, and maybe I'd most want to see, because I really did. I think that first season only gets better the more you watch it, and the more you sit with it. And to get Renner back, and after everything he's been through, and there's been so little of Haley Steinfeld since then, that it would be nice to have those characters back. And I think you could maybe it's not another Christmas show, but you keep sort of those same vibes. And I like kind of having several of these shows kind of set in that New York area, because then you can do kind of crossovers. It was nice to see Ms. Marvel's dad in Daredevil, stuff like that. So, having Hawkeye season 2 would open the door to doing more of that kind of thing.
Totally agree. That's a show that I would like to see a second season of. I think you said everything. I'm not going to repeat it all, but yes, Haley Steinfeld needs to be in more things. And I also just have this theory that Marvel in general is a little bit aware of the cultural moment with some of these people. Like, for example, when Florence Pugh becomes like all the rage, I think they're only wise to lean into that. That's part of the reason why I think there's no way Elizabeth Olsen is done, because if she wants to do it and she's becoming a star, they don't, and Sebastian Stan, same thing. I don't think they want to let those people walk away. And I'm going to start adding Haley Steinfeld in that category of like, here's an up and coming younger person who's becoming like talked about all the time. She's in Sinners. And I think like they want to lean into that. And plus I know with Hawkeye specifically, they've already been pitching that, right? Like they were trying to get Renner, and there was a famous dispute about the money, whatever. But I just actually recently saw that he's like, now is a perfect time. He had some scheduling issues. Now he doesn't, I guess. So he's publicly saying like, I'm ready to do the second season. So
yeah, I think everybody
it'll
says,
work out.
Yeah,
it'll work
they'll
out.
come back. Everybody will come back as long as the money's right and the timing's right.
That's what it's going to be.
There's nobody that is off the table at any point.
Agreed.
Along those lines, I didn't have this on my rundown, but you talk about the cultural moment. I know that Blade has kind of become sort of a running joke as the movie that's never actually going to come. But horror movies are kind of having a cultural moment right now between Sinners and Weapons and a couple of these other movies, Conjuring, Final Destination, these long-running franchises, but the most recent installments have by far been the biggest box office draws of the entire franchise. I think it would be maybe not wise to bet against Blade maybe getting off the ground now. They can kind of lean into some of those things. Even DC is kind of taking advantage of that. They're going to have an R-rated Clayface movie next year that's filming right now. And so it wouldn't surprise me. Kind of like Brand New Day is a movie that can come out around Doomsday and Secret Wars, but kind of stay street level and not need to involve itself in that kind of thing. Blade feels like a movie that could maybe fill that middle Avengers spot where it doesn't necessarily have to tie into either one of those Avengers movies. It can just kind of be a standalone thing on its own to kind of keep fans interested and paying attention in between. So who knows? That kind of falls under we'll believe it when we see it, but I just wanted to throw it out there.
That's a great call out by you. I am not in touch with the horror movie world. I don't watch them, but just the other day I saw a top 10 box office for this year so far. And like, I think it was like 8 and number 10 of this year were horror movies. So things I've never seen. I think it was like you said, Conjuring or Final Destination or
those movies, and Sinners is higher on the list than that.
I guess if you count that too. Yeah.
So yeah, if you consider that horror, I'm the same. I'm not really a horror guy, though I did enjoy the zombie show quite a bit. That's kind of what I like. Have always liked about the MCU is I'll watch a horror movie if it's in the MCU. Whereas if it was outside of that, I probably would just pass. So I hope it does happen. I know it's much talked about, and it's probably something that most listeners are kind of rolling their eyes at, but maybe one day.
Yeah, sure. Maybe one. Yeah, that's true. Anything else?
I think I had one more item, and I
Perfect.
think the Vision series. We hadn't really talked too much specifically about that. They also just had a new casting announcement in the last couple of weeks. Actress Mary McDonnell.
Mary what?
Mc,
Mary what?
McDonnell,
Okay, yeah.
who probably looks familiar. She's a lot of listeners probably know her from Battlestar Galactica. Not a show I've seen.
Yeah, I don't recognize her.
But have you ever seen the movie Independence Day? She plays the president's wife. That's what I know her best from.
Okay, I see. Yeah, and I see her in Donnie Darko. I don't remember. That's a deep cut. Yeah, Independence Day. Okay, all right.
Yeah. She was Bill Pullman's wife.
She's in
that.
Vision Quest. You said.
Yes, they just cast that. They did not announce her role, but that's another show that you look closely at the cast. They've obviously got Bettany. They got James Spader.
Do we know anything about that show? Is it literally just Vision exploring his newfound life now? This white Vision?
It seems like that's the case. They did cast this actor. I believe he's a Scottish actor. His name is Rory Malika, and he is last name is Mollica. He is right around the same age as Tommy would be, and so there's a lot of rumors that he could be playing that role, kind of like how Joe Locke was teen.
And hence the connection to Vision. I got it. Okay.
So there's a lot of, that's the maybe strongest rumor about that show is not only is Vision trying to find his own humanity, but maybe similar to how we spent all of Agatha looking for Billy, or learning about Billy, that we may learn a lot more about Tommy in this show. And not only do we have Ultron in that show, but we've cast human, I think, versions of Edith and Friday. Basically, all of Tony's AIs have a role in that show.
How can that be? And how can Ultron be in it even? You know what I mean? Like,
there's who knows? There's a lot of rumors and speculation that I don't want to go too far down that road.
Sure.
But I mean,
that was a rhetorical question, I guess.
Yeah. They also cast. You probably did see this, but maybe didn't remember. Farhan Tahir, who played Raza in Iron Man, is reprising his role in Vision Quest.
Oh, really?
Yes, he is confirmed 100% in the show. Raza, 10 rings, bringing it all full circle.
Wow. Okay. This is really this is Marvel. This is MCU 101. So this is not deep knowledge here, but it's funny how many ties Vision has to other characters. Like, I often think of him. I think of WandaVision now because it's the most recent thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you forget that Vision was originally birthed as an AI for Tony. So Vision has all the tie-ins with like Tony and Rhodey and would understand that part of it. Then he, comes to life in the Avengers. So he knows the whole Avengers world. And then it's only recently that he fell in love with Wanda. And then he's like a dad, or he was a dad to these kids as well. So there's connections to the Agatha stuff and the witchcraft stuff too. So he's got his robotic fingers in a lot of things, is I guess my point.
He does. And I was thinking about how interesting it is how many Iron Man connections there have been and are going to be between Ironheart and its connections with Zeke Stane, and now Vision Quest bringing back Raza from Iron Man, and obviously Ultron was Tony's creation. And of course, Ben Kingsley is returning in Wonder Man. So all of these shows kind of have their fingers in these early MCU projects. And that's the kind of stuff I love. Anytime you can tie back to sort of those old projects and make them relevant again, I find that fascinating.
Totally agree. And in a non-offensive way, you're not changing anything about Iron Man 3. For example, having Ben Kingsley there, but yeah, that'll be fun. I'm actually really looking forward to that series, even though years ago I was loud about don't undo any deaths. I just loved WandaVision so much. So now the fact that we're getting some follow-up there. Hey, the only other thing I've been thinking about is how in the world have they not followed up with Shang-Chi? That's the other. I didn't drop that as a possible Shang-Chi 2 in one of those release dates, but that's the only other character I'm thinking, like, it's been a long time since that happened.
So I wonder, my big, not necessarily a bold prediction, but Destin Daniel Cretton is the creator of Wonder Man, and he is directing 2 of those episodes. And
wait, what do you mean?
He is the executive producer.
The showrunner?
Yeah, he was the executive producer. He is directing multiple episodes on Wonder Man.
And that was before he was given Spider-Man?
That was before Spider-Man, yes. And so I do wonder if it's possible to get a cameo maybe in Wonder Man, and that might be the next time we see Shang-Chi.
Interesting. Well, he'll for sure factor into Doomsday, so it'll just be interesting to see where they leave that character. And if you just watch Marvel Zombies, he heavily factors into that show, which is very much a time, like a glimpse at 2022 and 2023 with that show. But yeah, just excited to see him too. Well, that's great. That was really helpful. I think that's about it, right?
That's all the news I've got. I mean, that's kind of 2 months of news, and it's really not that much. It's kind of been a quiet period with not a whole lot of projects going on, but it's nice to see them sort of taking their time. Avengers Doomsday wrapped over 450 days ahead of time. So they got forever to make sure that they do everything they need to get that movie right. And it's just nice to see, after all the projects and to varying degrees of success that we got over 2022 and 2023, that they've not only said they're going to take a step back, but they really are taking a step back and making sure that every project is as good as it can be when it comes out.
So for Marvel fans that are dying for something, Marvel Zombies is out now. You can check that out. As Greg mentioned, we might be getting some looks at a few things that are upcoming really soon. And then I think the next real project, I guess, is Wonder Man in December, which we don't have a specific date, I don't think.
We do not have a specific date. December is the only thing they've told us. My theory is I wouldn't be surprised if it comes a little earlier than that, because they've done that a couple times.
Just after Thanksgiving or something?
Maybe, because Eyes of Wakanda was supposed to be later than it was, and then they moved it up a little bit. Zombies, I think people were expecting closer to Halloween, and they moved it up a little bit. So it wouldn't shock me, but I do think we're going to find out very soon, in a couple weeks here.
That will be fun. And then, like we said earlier, if they officially announce Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man as a January show and a February show, then I think I'm back being so pumped because I love that show. But if Wonder Man's great, which they're on a good run right now, that'll take us right into that, which then takes us right into Daredevil. So I think that would solve some of this, not lull, but the break they're having. We might not be getting as many breaks in the future, so it'd be kind of fun.
I have one prediction I'll make, and that is, I think on December 18th, which is 1 year from Doomsday, I think we're going to get some kind of little teaser, maybe a poster, maybe just a short thing. I don't think we're going to get a big teaser, like 2-minute thing or anything like that, but I do think we could see our first kind of glimpse to mark the 1 year anniversary before it comes out.
And see what they're cooking up. All right. Thanks, Greg. You're the best. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for keeping people updated, especially thank you for the newsletter work. I know for me, it's been like my wife, for example, reads it every week, and it's like her way to stay connected while she's busy with her job and our family and all that stuff. She'll check it on Sunday night and make sure that she knows what's going on in the MCU. And so you're very much appreciated. And thank you for filling in for Robbie today. Great work.
Hey, thanks for having me. And if you're listening and you're wondering, what is this newsletter we're talking about? Go to the ffwpodcast.com. It's right on the homepage. There's a place where you can put in your email address.
Yep.
Comes out every Sunday. It's football season. I've been trying to get it out at halftime of the Sunday night football games.
There you go.
So you need something to do, you can fill in your 10-minute, 12-minute halftime by reading that article, catching up on what's happening around the MCU.
And both of us are still alive in our fantasy football league, Guillotine League.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. You, me, and Pete, we're hanging in there so far.
Yeah, not chopped yet. And then when someone gets chopped, you flick the head through the uprights. So it's tough. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you back here next time on Friends from Work.